Now, let's dig into server-side state management just a little bit. If you choose to use server-side state management, you've got some choices. Because on the server side, we can choose to store information in process, and that's the default. Like I said earlier, if you haven't set any kind of configurations concerning state management, then you're doing in process. It's just kind of happening automatically in your web server. But we can choose to store these things out of process, okay? And one of the most popular ways to do this is in a database. Now, the way we do it to store state information in the database, we're going to go into the web config file. Now, we haven't talked about this guy yet, but we will in the video a little bit later on. But for now, just know that this is a configuration file that we have in each web application, and we can go in and set some things here to tell ASP.NET how to behave. So that's what we're going to do here. We can choose to send our information to SQL Server, or we can choose to send it to a state server. Now, if we choose SQL Server, we're going to go into this web config setting, and we're going to set SQL Server. Notice right here, session state, and we'll talk about how to do this a little bit later. We're going to set the mode as SQL Server. Now, this sets off all kind of smoke and mirror stuff in the background to tell ASP.NET where this information needs to go. Now, there's an executable out there called ODBC that you can load up in the SQL Query Analyzer, actually it's .SQL, and run this script, and it will set up the database for you on SQL Server. And at that point, it's automatic. You don't have to do anything else. But I want to kind of diagram out here what's happening with this. Let's say that this is your web server. Okay, this is a client. Client makes a request of your web server. You send a response back, and you send a cookie out to that client. The next time when you send your cookie out to the client, you at the same time write this into a SQL Server database. Now, in that SQL Server database, I'm going to draw a table down here. You have a table in that database, and you're storing rows of data, and you've got columns: name, phone number, address, product purchased, date purchased, and so forth. And when you write that cookie into that SQL database, when you write it to the client, you put the copy on your side in the SQL database, and then you can then link these cookies to all kind of information. So when this customer comes back and his browser passes that cookie up, we check to see if he's got that cookie, and we do, and so we can look then in the table and we can see when's the last time this person was here, what did they buy, how many did they buy, all that kind of stuff. So it also helps us to know what products this guy's interested in, because we then tell ASP what kind of web page to render and send back to show him certain items that we think he may be interested in buying this trip. Now, if I'm going to use a state server, and a state server is going to be a separate server where we store the state information on our side, on the server side, but instead of going to a database, it's going into the memory of another server. And so that's the main difference there. And to do that, we would simply do session state again, and right here, instead of putting SQL Server, we would put state server. And then we'd have to pass some more information. Now, if we do state server, we're going to have to start the ASP.NET Windows service, because it's used in marshaling or passing that thing out there to memory to the other server. Now, that's server-side state management. A lot of people use this database or out of process with SQL Server. Microsoft has really made it easy for you to use their SQL database product to store the state management information. Now, in the next video, we're going to take a little bit closer look at client-side state management.